Upbeat intro music fades. Hello, and welcome back to The Behavior Code, the podcast that deciphers the patterns of human behavior to help you become the architect of your own life. I'm your host, Maria.
And I'm Gabriel. It is wonderful to have you with us today. Maria, we have a topic that I think is going to resonate with, well, pretty much everyone at some point in their lives. It's a universal human experience, even if it feels incredibly isolating when you're in it.
Oh, for sure. We're talking about that feeling, that heavy, sinking feeling of being stuck. It's like being in neutral while the world around you is in drive. You know the one. You wake up, you go to work, you come home, you watch some TV, you go to bed. And the next day, it's the exact same thing. The same commute, the same tasks, the same conversations. It feels like you're just an actor in your own life, reading from a script you didn't write. And you're starting to forget what it feels like to improvise.
It's the Groundhog's Day effect. You know there's more out there. You can feel it in your bones. A different career, a healthier lifestyle, a deeper relationship, a creative passion you've ignored for years. But you're just stuck on a treadmill. You're putting in the effort, you're exhausted by the end of the day, but you look around and the scenery never, ever changes.
Exactly. And the worst part is watching time pass by with nothing to show for it. You see friends getting married, buying houses, getting promotions, and you're genuinely happy for them, but it comes with a sting of comparison. You see another year flip over on the calendar, and you're still in the same apartment with the same job and the same unfulfilled New Year's resolutions. It's not just frustrating, it can be soul-crushing.
It absolutely is, and that's what we're going to deconstruct today. We're not just going to talk about the feeling. We're going to uncover the hidden architecture behind it. We'll explore the psychology, the environmental factors, and even the stories we tell ourselves that keep us locked in place. Because understanding the why is the first step to figuring out the how. Why we get stuck, and more importantly, how we finally get out.
So the first big piece of this puzzle, the foundational reason we get stuck, is what we call the invisible trap. It sounds dramatic, I know, but it's one of the most powerful and sneaky forces in our lives.
It's the comfort zone, but that name is so misleading. It's not really about comfort, is it? It's about familiarity. Our brains are ancient survival machines, and they're wired to love predictable patterns. An unpleasant but known reality is less threatening to the brain than an unknown, potentially better future. It prefers a certainty of misery over the misery of uncertainty.
Ooh, that line is powerful. The certainty of misery over the misery of uncertainty. That's the core of it, because stepping outside of what's familiar is inherently scary. And our brilliant creative brains are masters at dressing up that raw fear to look like sophisticated, responsible logic.
Right.
It's never, I'm scared to start a business. It's, well, the economy isn't great right now, and I need the stability of my current job for my family, and I don't have the right qualifications yet. I should probably take another online course first. I remember when I wanted to start this podcast, for months I told myself I needed a better microphone, professional editing software, and a fully developed 50-episode backlog. The truth, I was terrified no one would listen. The equipment was just a convenient, logical-sounding excuse. It's a list of perfectly reasonable excuses that are actually just fear in a business suit.
Think about it like a well-worn path in a forest. The path is muddy, it's boring, and it doesn't lead anywhere you want to go, but it's clear. You know the path. Stepping off that path into the trees is full of unknowns. There could be poison ivy, you could get lost. But there could also be a beautiful waterfall or a stunning viewpoint. The comfort zone keeps you on the muddy path because it's a known quantity. The fear of the unknown is the fence that keeps you there, precisely. The logic is the cage. It's built from the bars of what if, and I should, and it's not the right time. And it feels so safe and secure inside that cage, but the door's never actually locked. We just convince ourselves it is. That's the trap. It's an illusion of safety that costs us our growth.
So if the comfort zone is the trap, what's the bait, or what keeps us there? I think that gets into the real psychology of it all.
It does, and fundamentally, it boils down to a handful of core fears and thought patterns. The first and the biggest is the fear of failure. We are terrified of looking stupid. We're terrified of investing our time, our money, our heart into something and having it not work out. The potential embarrassment feels more painful than the guaranteed regret of never trying. So we choose regret because it's private. Failure is public.
Which ties right into the next one, the fear of judgment. It's not just our own judgment we fear, it's everyone else's. What will my parents think? What will my friends say? We play out these imaginary conversations in our heads where everyone is disappointed in us.
We do. We construct an entire imaginary jury, and they are always harsh. Always.
Totally. And then for so many of us, there's perfectionism. The idea that I can't start until I know exactly how to do it perfectly. We spend months, years even, planning the perfect business, the perfect diet, the perfect creative project, and the plan becomes the substitute for the action.
Perfectionism is just fear in a tuxedo. It looks sophisticated, but it's just as paralyzing. It's a way to rationalize inaction. I'm not procrastinating, I'm researching.
Yes. I've been there. You have 100 browser tabs open. You've watched 50 YouTube tutorials. You feel busy, you feel productive, but you haven't actually done anything. It's all just
Overthinking.
overthinking. It's the engine that powers the whole stuck machine. You're living in your head, analyzing every possible outcome, most of them bad, until you're too exhausted and overwhelmed to take the first step.
And this leads to a fascinating paradox, which is our next point. Why it seems that intelligent, thoughtful people often feel the most stuck.
Oh, this is such a good point. You'd think smart people would have it all figured out, but it's often the opposite.
It's because their intellect, their greatest asset, can become their greatest liability. A powerful mind is exceptionally good at one thing, seeing complexity. It can see 1,000 possible paths and 1,000 potential pitfalls on each path.
Right, it's analysis paralysis on steroids. Your brain becomes this supercomputer running endless simulations of failure. Meanwhile, someone maybe less book smart just goes, well, this seems like a good idea, let's try it. And they just start. They learn by doing.
Exactly. Smart people often fall into the trap of believing they must have the perfect map before they begin the journey. But life isn't a map, it's a terrain. You can't know what's over the next hill until you start walking. They analyze too much and they act too little.
And they use their intelligence to build that logical cage we talked about. The excuses are just more sophisticated. They're backed up with data and well-reasoned arguments, but at the end of the day, it's still just a cage.
An elegant, well-designed cage, but a cage nonetheless. The way out is to embrace a little bit of intentional ignorance. To say, I don't have all the answers and I'm going to start anyway. That is an incredibly difficult leap for a highly analytical mind.
Yeah, to be a beginner, to be okay with not being the expert for a little while.
And it's not just the cage in our minds that hold us back. There's an external one too, the environment trap.
This is huge. We like to think we're the sole captains of our ship, but we are so influenced by the water we're sailing in. Your friends, your family, your job, the city you live in.
There's a well-known saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at your circle. Are they growing, taking risks, learning new things? Or are they complaining, stagnant, and comfortable?
Because their reality becomes your normal. If everyone around you is unhappy in their job but not doing anything about it, then being unhappy in your job feels normal. It doesn't feel like a problem to be solved, it just feels like life.
It recalibrates your expectations, and this environment is not passive, it's actively working to keep you the same. When you try to change, to start working out, to quit drinking, to launch a side hustle, you often face resistance, not support.
Oh, the crab in the bucket mentality. One crab tries to climb out and the others pull it back down. People will say, oh, you're changing, like it's a bad thing, or come on, one donut won't kill you. They're not necessarily malicious.
Not at all. Your growth is an uncomfortable mirror. It reflects their own inaction back at them. Though to feel comfortable again, they need you to stop. The environment seeks equilibrium. It wants you to stay put.
So you have to consciously curate your environment, your social media feeds, the podcasts you listen to, the people you have coffee with. You have to actively seek out inputs that align with where you want to go, not where you are.
It's essential. You cannot expect to grow in a garden that has no sunlight. You must either move to the sun or, and this is harder, learn to be your own sun.
Okay, so let's say you're aware of the fears, you see the comfort zone, you're trying to fix your environment, but you're still stuck. This brings us to what might be the deepest level of this whole thing, the identity problem.
This is the root. Absolutely the root. We think that if we change our actions, our life will change, but it's the other way around. Your actions are always in alignment with your deepest held identity.
Can you break that down? What does that look like?
Certainly. Let's say you want to quit smoking. You try using willpower. But if deep down you see yourself as a smoker who's trying to quit, every time you feel stressed, your brain will default to its identity. It'll say, smokers smoke when they're stressed, and you'll have a cigarette.
Right, your behavior is just your identity in action. So to really change, you have to shift the identity first. You have to start seeing yourself as a non-smoker. A non-smoker doesn't smoke when they're stressed. They go for a walk or they chew gum.
Precisely. You can't change your life until you change your story about who you are. If your identity is, I'm someone who's bad with money, you will always find a way to get rid of it. If your identity is, I'm not a morning person, you will never build a consistent morning routine. The story comes first.
So how do you change your identity? It feels so solid, like it's just who I am.
You prove your old identity wrong with small wins. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. You don't start by running a marathon. You start by putting on your running shoes and walking to the end of the driveway. That's a vote for, I'm a person who exercises.
I love that. A vote. So you're not trying to make a huge change overnight. You're just trying to win the election for a new identity, one vote at a time, one small action.
That is the entire game. And those votes, those tiny decisions, that is the turning point.
It's funny, we look for these huge cinematic moments to change our lives. This one big decision that will fix everything. But it's never like that, is it?
Almost never. The turning points are quiet. They are invisible to everyone but you. It's the decision to say no to a night out so you can wake up early to work on your project. It's the decision to drink a glass of water instead of a soda.
It's putting $5 into a savings account instead of buying a fancy coffee. It seems insignificant. It seems like it doesn't matter. But it's everything, because it's not about the $5. It's about casting a vote for, I am a person who saves money.
These small decisions are like a ship changing its course by a single degree. For the first hour, it doesn't look like much, but over a journey of 1,000 miles, you end up in a completely different continent. That is the power of the tiny, consistent choice.
And it builds momentum. The more votes you cast, the easier it gets. The new identity starts to feel real. It becomes less of a struggle and more of just who you are. The new routine feels more normal than the old one.
That's when you know you've won, when the positive behavior is the default, not the exception. The stuckness dissolves because you are no longer the stuck person. You are a person in motion.
Okay, so this has all been great for understanding the why, but let's get super practical. Let's give our listeners a concrete action plan. What are some of those small daily habits, those votes they can cast starting today?
An excellent idea. Let's start with what I call the 2-minute rule. Whatever habit you want to build, scale it down to something that takes less than 2 minutes to do. Read more becomes read one page. Do yoga becomes roll out your yoga mat.
Yes, I love this one. It's about making it so easy you can't say no. You're not focused on the outcome, you're focused on the starting. The habit of showing up is more important than the achievement in the beginning.
Indeed. Another one. At the end of each day, write down one thing you did that moved you even 1 millimeter closer to your goal. Did you skip the cookie? Write it down. Did you send that one email you were dreading? Write it down. This trains your brain to look for progress, not perfection.
That's a great way to collect those votes we talked about. Okay, my turn. Change your information diet.
Unfollow one account that makes you feel bad about yourself and follow one that inspires you or teaches you something. It takes 30 seconds and it changes the landscape of your mind.
A powerful one. And finally, I would add, practice asking a different question. Instead of asking, what if I fail, ask, what if this works? Spend just 60 seconds imagining a future where you succeed. Let your mind feel what that would be like. It shifts your entire emotional state from one of fear to one of possibility.
These are all so good because they're small, but they're not passive. They're active choices that put you back in the driver's seat of your own life.
And that brings us to our close. If there's one thing we want you to take away from this entire conversation, it is this. Your life is not set in stone. The feeling of being stuck is a feeling, not a fact.
It's a signal. It's a signpost telling you that a change is needed. It's not a life sentence.
You think your change has to be a massive earthquake, but it can be a subtle shift in the wind, a single degree of change in your daily navigation. The life you want 5 years from now is built on the choice you make in the next 5 minutes.
It really can change faster than you think. The first year is about breaking the inertia. The next year is about building momentum. And before you know it, you'll look back and barely recognize the person who felt so hopelessly stuck.
So be kind to yourself. Start small. Cast one vote in your own favor today. That is all it takes to begin. You are not stuck. You are just at a crossroads. And you can choose a new path right now.
What a perfect way to end it. Thank you all so much for tuning in to The Behavior Code. We hope this helped. Make a small choice today. We'll see you next week.